Hi, my name is Ollin. I am 17. I'm a junior. I go to Niwa High School. And I'm making this video to help support, as part of the Make It Better campaign. And the first question is, what was your experience coming out as an LGBTQ youth or an ally? For me, it was a very mixed experience. Initially, it was kind of negative. The first experience I had of coming out was coming out to myself, and that took a long time because I lived in a family, in an environment that had this really implicit message that being gay meant being, more susceptible to have a sexually transmitted disease. It meant being promiscuous. It meant not having the ability to have a happy life and having children and having, a normal life like everybody else. And for me, once I realized that I had different feelings, it took for me roughly 3 years. I came to the realization that I was different in 5th grade. And it took me till 8th grade to be able to accept myself and come out to myself. And when I came out to myself, that was very liberating. And then afterwards, when I was a freshman, I came out to some close friends, and that was a very positive experience. All the friends that I've come out to have been very, very accepting, been very, very positive. Have made it clear that my sexual orientation does not change at all. The friendship I have with them, and that's been very rewarding. The other facet of my coming out experience was once I came out to myself and came out with close friends, I wanted to come out. I wanted to come out with everybody else in my life. But the main deterrent from me being able to do that was coming out to my dad. Because my dad was someone that showed all the classic rejecting behaviors that a parent could show. Commenting on how I cut my hair, commenting on how I acted in certain mannerisms, commenting on how I dressed, saying things like, you act too effeminately, start manning up, like, different things like that were very rejecting of how I was acting. And for me, coming out in my personal life and with my family was something that I had planned to do after high school and once I was in college, once I was outside of, my family situation. But it wasn't until my parents got separated that a window opened up. As horrible as it was that my parents separated, sorry about that. As horrible as it was that my parents had separated, I had a window to be able to come out because it meant my dad was no longer home, so I came out to my mom. And then I wrestled with whether or not coming out to everybody in my personal life because it meant having the risk of my dad finding out that I came out. And I finally took the leap of faith. I was a junior, and it was in the summer, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep living like this, not being able to see who I am. And this was especially in the backdrop of me becoming more involved with community organizing and LGBTQ advocacy. And I bet you can imagine that kind of a context, how difficult it is that you can't be transparent with other people about what you do, about who you are. And so I decided to just be completely honest and sincere, and I came out on Facebook, which in retrospect I do not at all regret. I was very nervous about it because I had no friends, or had no one that I had known that had come out that way. So I came out that way, and it was a great experience. I'm not sure that everybody should do it, but if you feel that it would be good for you, then do it. Because I had a lot of positive responses to me coming out. Out of all the posts I've made on Facebook, that's the one that has the most comments on it. I came out and people were very, very positive, and so then it wasn't until this year that I came out to my dad. That was, I guess that was like one of those Hallmark Lifetime movie events where, people were crying and people were happy and ecstatic. I came out to my dad in February, and that was an amazing experience. I was really nervous. I was very, very nervous, but there's a part of me that how I came to that conclusion of coming out to my dad, despite the fact that I told myself not to come out to him until after I graduated high school, was that if I came out to him, I was the one that was in power versus someone else telling him because, you know, oh, I saw your son's apparently in the Gay Straight Alliance, or, you know, he was going out with some guy, or however it might be that he might be able to find out. But when I told him, he was very accepting, and one of the things he said that's going to be one of the most memorable things that he's ever told me was, you know, I love you, I'll always love you, and I want you to keep what you're doing and helping others. So it's been a very interesting road for me coming out. So the second question is, what is it like for me being out as an LGBTQ individual and ally at my school? It's largely positive. In terms of where my school's concerned, my school, I feel, has been very accepting of my sexual orientation. I had a relationship with someone this year, and people were very accepting of us. We didn't. I mean, obviously, we. I think people who are in a same-sex relationship can't show the same level of PDA, and I'm personally not one of those people that shows a lot of PDA. But you know, we'd walk in this hall with, you know, holding hands with one another, and people would be like, "Oh, you guys are so cute! You guys are awesome!" And it was a very rewarding experience. For me, it was the first time I'd ever been in a relationship with someone of the same sex, and for everybody to be so supportive and accepting was amazing. We had a lot of people that were accepting. We did have a lot of people that weren't accepting, and what was interesting is that the people that weren't accepting were respectful about it. They said, I know that someone had said at school that, you know, I don't necessarily agree with your lifestyle choice, but, you know, I respect the relationship you're in. I respect you as an individual. So what I've gotten a lot has been either support or a lot of people who have been very respectful with their disagreement of, you know, my quote-unquote lifestyle choice. But I feel that I'd rather that kind of a stance versus someone just being completely aggressive and hostile and derogatory towards me. And I've had some of those too. I haven't had anybody explicitly, you know, been very derogatory towards me, but I've been in the situations where there's people that are very, that use a lot the term like gay and fag in a way that's representative of some words that they intend to be synonymous with stupid, which really aren't. It's happened to me before that I've been on the bus, in the back of the bus, and people, there have been guys in the back of the bus who just keep saying, you know, that's so gay, that's so stupid. Oftentimes I have to use a different bus. People will go to youth group, and sometimes I use that bus, and every time I've used that bus, there have been guys that use gay and fag and meaning stupid, and, you know, they'll say, you know, stop being so gay, stop being such a fag to, you know, one of their friends because they're quote-unquote acting gay or whatever. And it's frustrating because, you know, I would like to say in those situations, in that particular situation, every time I use that bus, to say, hey, can you quit, can you please cut it out? I find that offensive. But I know for a fact that if I did, or if I did do that, in that particular situation, every time I use that bus, I know I'd be open myself to more aggression, because the people on the back of the bus that do use it, I know them to the point where I know that they would be aggressive every time I use the bus. So sometimes you have to pick and choose your battles, and, you know, it sucks when you really want to have people stop using those terms, but you know that in particular situations that it just opens you up to more danger and more hostility if you do. But by and large, my experience at school and the community has been very, very positive. People have been very accepting. The last question, I believe... No, sorry. The third question is, what has been done in your school community to make it better for you? So, fortunately, my school has a GSA, and I'm the president of the GSA, and we've been doing a lot to make sure that individuals at school who are LGBTQ or allies have a place to go. And it's given me a great resource. It's given me the ability to have and meet with other students at my school who are also LGBTQ, and other